Welcome to the Dog Nerd Show, where we geek out over our best friends. I'm Megan.
And I'm Michael, and this is a show about all things dog.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. If you are watching, we've got a special guest in the studio today. Finlay is joining us because we are going to talk about caring for your senior dog. And if you haven't joined us before, I am Megan Wargula, and I'm author of the Riley Carson book series, which has been described as Nancy Drew meets animal rescue. So I am very passionate about dogs and helping dogs have better lives.
And I'm Michael, and I'm her husband. I've always been a dog fan, and then I married this one, and it went to the next level, and she's making me hats like this and T-shirts. So, yeah, it's our passion to do this. So
yeah, and my dog nerdiness has rubbed off. I mean, God bless him. But saying that, I'm easy to shop for, aren't I? I mean, it's got a dog
on it. Just buy it.
So we've got Finlay in the studio, and I think he's warm from sitting in my lap.
Yeah.
But we wanted to talk about senior dogs and some issues that we've seen come up with our two, because they're both seniors now. And Finlay is 16, and we have had a couple of incidents recently that have come up, and we thought, it's a good time to talk to people about, how to help care for your pet as they age. So you want to tell them kind of what happened?
Yeah, so Easter Sunday, we were going out to visit your parents, and we were taking the dogs out, and we were coming back in because it was raining, and they don't like to go outside when it's raining, and I'm sure a lot of you guys deal with that too. So we have to take them out to the front.
They don't like to go in the backyard and potty, so we have to put them on their leashes and take them out front because for whatever reason, I guess all the other dog smells. It's like, okay, I'll go here.
And so we were heading back in, and Finlay misjudged the step and kind of took a header right into the step, and
he was right next to me, and I didn't see it, but I heard it sounded like his jaw hit the cement stoop. So that was scary, and I checked him over, and he seemed okay, but we did take him into our vet.
Right.
And she said he needed to come in, and he had...
Yeah, and our vet is awesome. So she does doggy chiropractic, and she also does the
acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine.
So it's as well as traditional American or U.S. medicine too, or modern medicine.
Western
medicine.
Yeah.
She does. So she covers
she's a DBM
everything,
and she does the other stuff. So yeah, so she definitely said, your intuition was right. He is in some pain. So she, we tend to be really holistic and natural when it comes to anything for them. But she could tell he was in a lot of pain. And these guys, I don't know about your dog breed, but border terriers tend to be stoic. They tend to not show when they're in pain. So we didn't have a lot of signs, but there was a lot of panting when he wasn't hot. And just, I could tell when he was trying to lay down, he was like, oh, you don't want to lay down all the way. So we got him some medicines, and everything was getting better. And then last Thursday happened.
Right. So we had, our dogs like to play with the dog next door. So basically a fence fight.
If you have terriers, you understand.
Right.
There's somebody on the other side of that fence, and they have to bark. And I think we talked before that we had aggressive neighbor dogs early on in their lives that used to fence fight. And so these two, they don't really go to the one side where the little poodle is. They go to the other side where the other guy is, because that was where the aggressive dogs live. So
yeah, and he doesn't realize, hey, I'm 16. I need to kind of, to him, when that happens, it just, the trigger goes off, and he took off, and we have a little vegetable garden there. It's raised by about the size of a 2x4, maybe a little bit more. And he misjudged there and took another header, this time into the dirt, and it was a little scary. And I'll let Megan pick it up from there.
Yeah, let me pick it up, because Michael was inside, and again, this happened on my watch, which was difficult for me. So I knew that the dog was outside. So I actually took him over. I've been carrying him in and out, because we just have one step, but I've been carrying him in and out. And I could hear that the dog was there, and I didn't want him to, go crazy. So I carried him over there and let him bark at the fence, and then picked him up and, took him over to the middle of the yard to go to the bathroom. Well, Riley got riled up again by the dog next door and started going crazy. So Finlay had to join in. And like Michael said, and there are days when he doesn't do that. I think he's having his old man days, as we say, and he's just like, I don't have the energy. But on Thursday, he had the energy, and he was like, I'm going to go bark at that fence. And I'm watching it happen, and I'm like, oh no, I see him start leaping before he should. And that got me really nervous. So I was like, I'm telling him to stop the whole time, and he's not listening because he's going, he's feeling like he's 6, not 16. So he hit the 2x4, I think, with a leg or a shoulder, and then he face planted in the dirt, like nose first. It was terrifying to watch. And then he was kind of on his back, and he was pawing at his eyes because he got a face full of dirt. And I scooped him up, and I'm brushing the dirt off of his face. And I set him down again back in the middle of the yard to go to the bathroom. And he looked like he was maybe trying to pee like a girl dog, or then he was kind of hunching up like he had to poop. And I was like, do you have to go potty? What's, he clearly did not have to go to the bathroom. I thought he had paralyzed himself, and it was so frightening. So I grabbed him, ran upstairs, told Michael, hey, we gotta call the vet, see if they can. Of course, it was 4:45 or 4:30.
Yeah, it never happens at 9 a.m.
No, you guys know that. It always happens at late in the day or at nights and weekends. So we called the vet, and I set him down in my office upstairs on the carpet, and he starts walking around like normal.
Yeah.
And the vet tells me, we've already got an emergency. This particular doctor who does chiropractic and acupuncture, she's not in today. So, really not sure what we could do anyway. And lo and behold, Finlay gets up on his hind legs, puts his front paws on the trash can, and pulls a tea bag wrapper out of the trash can. And I was like, okay, well, I guess he's okay. Guess he's feeling a little bit better. But we knew we needed to take him in.
Right.
So we saw our doctor yesterday, and in addition to being a DVM, she's got specialties in traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture, and chiropractic. So she said that he had hurt his left shoulder and his lumbar area, and so she did a chiropractic adjustment. And I had mentioned that I think that, it's an issue with vision. So she thoroughly checked his eyes out, and it turns out that he's basically almost blind in his right eye and is got a lot of vision loss in the left eye, right?
Right. That's and if you've ever known anyone that has one eye or loses vision for temporary time, you lose depth perception, and that would explain a lot of the reasons why we're jumping too soon to go over something that's not very high, that we've gone over 100 times, thousands of times. And so that explains that part of it. And it's part of the getting old process. It's brought on by cataracts. There is a surgery you can do for it, but at 16, our doctors advised against it because there's a high chance that, it could fix the cataracts, but it could also start the slide. And he's, for his age, he's in really good health. We had a scare about 2 years ago, and I actually took him into a specialist, and they did an X-ray scan of his internal organs. They said he's got internal organs of like a 7 or 8 year old dog.
And when we had another vet that thought he had a heart problem, and we had gone to this specialist for an echo, was it an ultrasound or echo on his heart? And the result was his heart doesn't even look, at the time he was 14, he doesn't even look 14. He's got a really great, so we're very blessed. So we just got to thinking, like, we've already made some changes in our household for him. In fact, when he took his first tumble, I've just been carrying him. So we're not allowing him up and down the stairs. He's got a ramp to get on and off the sofa. We're talking about making a ramp out the back because there's just one step, but one step, for an old dog is...
Especially when you don't have your depth perception like he doesn't have, and you run the risk. And then there's days, and we all have days where we just don't feel good, and it's a kind of a struggle to maybe go up some stairs or something where you leapt up them the day before. So we're going to take that out of the scenario. We'll build a little ramp for him so he doesn't have to kind of pull himself into the house after he's gone outside. So
Yeah, so we've kind of already started with that. So let's talk about the things that you can do for your senior dog as your dog ages. So accommodations around the house. So we just touched on that. Ramps, supportive dog beds. So here's something interesting that I learned, which is, we always tend to gravitate towards the really cushiony, soft, pillow-like beds, but when your dog ages, they need a firmer, more like memory foam kind of dog bed, because they need something firm to press up on because their joints and bones are achy. I think that's why Riley sleeps on those pillows that we have. We have these
memory foam
pillows that didn't work for us, and
Yeah.
so we stacked them down on the sofa so that the dogs could lay on them because they like to be high up. And so we've got two of those together, and that's her preferred place to sleep. So I think that's
and they're firm.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why they didn't work for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just, making accommodations like taking them out on a leash when you go outside. I mean, now I'm not taking him out on a leash, but if I hear the dog is out next door, I'll put him on a leash, just things like that, because 2 days later he was out pottying in the yard and he heard that dog, and I got to him. He actually, before I got to him, he got to the garden and he stopped and he hopped in carefully, and then he hit his face on the tomato cage. So there is something he's definitely got eye problems.
So minor modifications to your house as your family member gets a little bit older. I think we're not saying hire a handyman. I think there's mostly a lot of to-do stuff, but if there's something that's outside of your comfort zone, maybe look at a local handyman. Because all of them can do it.
Yeah, like a ramp to the outside. But there are soft steps for beds and sofas and things like that.
Yeah, if you cruise Amazon, you'll find a lot of those. Absolutely.
And in addition to that, this isn't accommodations around the house, but this has to do with this, is that some people will put bath mats or yoga mats on hardwood surfaces so the dogs can walk easily. And I did not know this, but I saw a video. If you know if this is accurate or not, let me know. But apparently dogs' nails grow faster as they're older, which seems to be the case with us, because I think we're always
I would agree with that.
Doing his nails. But the nails need to be trimmed so that the pad, they're even with the pads, because the pads need to be giving them the friction and the grip on the ground.
Yeah, and you want to make sure too that you're trimming the hair, especially if you have hardwood floors. But in general, you want to trim the hair between the pads too, because that becomes slick, like wearing socks.
Yeah.
And
if you get your dog groomed, your groomer is doing that. But if you do it yourself, you definitely have to trim between the paws.
Right. Because what happens, if you'll allow me, what happens is they're having to now stabilize themselves because their feet are wanting to go like this because they don't have that friction holding them down. So then it works muscles that they normally wouldn't work, and it can, as they get older, it can be a detriment to them.
Yeah, even if the nails are not trimmed all the way, they can start walking on like the heel kind of. Yeah. So it and then, as you know, once you start walking funny,
it affects everything. It affects everything upward. Yeah.
So let's talk about supplements. So here we've got Cosequin, which we've started Finlay on due to his, aging joints. And then we have hemp oil, which, this is our little miracle drug here that is a natural substance that we use. We've talked about it for Riley's anxiety and for Finley's aches and pains. So these are two supplements that are good and that we actually use. We are not paid to tell you about these. Our vet prescribed this. And this is just glucosamine. And then this we started using, over a year ago, maybe?
Yeah.
2 years ago.
And so the question of the day is, put down in the comments what supplements you use for your pets. So
yeah, maybe we can learn from you about something that we should ask our vet about. So with any of this stuff, please talk to your vet about it. Make sure that it's okay to use for any medicines that your dogs are on. These two are naturally occurring substances, so hopefully they go with most of
Right.
anything that your dogs may be on. Um, so another thing is keep your dogs fit and active.
Mm-hmm.
So weight on a dog, especially a smaller dog, but any weight on a dog for an overweight situation is going to be really hard on their joints, their back, everything. So keep your dogs at a good weight and get them exercise. Don't overdo it. Know your dog and look for the signs, but get them some exercise. Even if that means mental stimulation, like a puzzle game, you could even take kibble and hide it around a room in your house and let them use their nose to sniff it out. And that's
Yeah.
one thing for sure. Finley's nose is still very strong.
Yeah, and Megan mentioned, going for walks, and we're all taking a lot more walks now that we're all kind of quarantined in. As your dogs get older, it's just like people, they can't walk as far or they can't walk as fast, so be mindful of that, pay attention to that. And also, as we approach summer, you want to make sure that you're not walking your dog or yourself in the heat of the day. It's not healthy for you, and it's really not healthy for your dogs. And always, always, always never leave your dog in a car.
Yeah.
So
don't get me started on that one.
that doesn't matter how old the dog is.
I'm not going to go down that road today.
Yeah.
I'll go down that
I just
road.
threw that out there because it was part topic that we were talking about with
timely.
eat.
So patience is my next item. So, just as we are aging every day, so is your dog, and they are having changes in their brains, changes in things like vision. And we had noticed, probably 6 months ago, Finley got real barky at night, and we were surmising it was probably due to vision changes or sundowner syndrome, when the sun starts to get low and the shadows get long. So I think we were right in that he was being overly barky because he was a little kind of freaked out maybe about where the changes in light, since he does have these cataracts. So just know that you're going to be old someday too, and somebody's going to be taking care of you, and you want them to be patient with you. So just be patient, and that you're just
Yeah. It's because they're dealing with age just as we do, and it's changes, and there's hormonal changes that happen. There's vision changes. I mean,
hearing
changes, and all of those things. When you can't communicate to the dog that is okay, they start to maybe get a little anxious. So I think the thing to do is just be patient, like Megan said, and eventually it'll start settling down. I believe.
Yeah. And what's been really nice about this time with the dogs, even though quarantine is stressful for many, I've been able to tune in more to them and understand that, like, now I know when Finley barks, he's telling me he needs to be carried down the stairs so he can go outside and go to the bathroom. That's generally what it is.
Or it means that Daddy just got on a conference call, so therefore I need to bark so I can go downstairs. There's some of that too.
Yes, exactly.
But no, I've enjoyed the last, month, I would say, with the dogs, and it's been, Riley sits right behind me, and it's great because they are our family.
They are enjoying this time immensely, as are we. So Riley sits behind her daddy, and Finley sits on the floor behind me, watching the door for anyone that may come in. And that brings us to our last one, which is love and loyalty. I think in addition to just great healthcare and understanding, love and loyalty are so important to your dog as they reach their senior years, because they have spent their entire lifetime loving you and being loyal to you. And you owe it to them to let them have grace and patience and love in their final years, because
you're getting broken up. Yeah. So you go through, so our two puppies, that we have, they we raised them from being little bitty puppies that were
Like
just
10 weeks old.
yeah just learning what the world was about to now they're seniors and they're been a part of our life. He's been part of our life for 16 years, so there's a lot of memories, a lot of really loving and caring, and if you've gone through anything dramatic in your life, these guys have been there right by your side. Unconditional love. That's the one thing that has always drawn me to dogs is they have unconditional love, and we need to reciprocate that to them, especially as they get older.
You know what I always say about that, and I'm sorry, you guys, but you get it. I always say that in the English language, to me, it's no mistake that dog is God spelled backwards, because God loves us unconditionally, and this is the reminder, I think, of God's love for us. So, I think I get so emotional because I don't understand people who, a lot of people will give up their dogs as they age or as they get sick. And I don't understand it because, your commitment to your dog is for life, and there are hard times that happen, especially at the end of their years. If you can't afford certain care for your dog, there are low-cost vets that will help people who can't pay for surgeries and things like that. So, I think it's just such a privilege. It's a privilege and an honor to care for these animals.
Yep.
And I just want to express that they just all they want to do is love us, eat, go chase after things, and then lay around and love us some more. So if we can give them love and loyalty in their senior years, that's the biggest gift.
I agree. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this special episode with our special guest, Finlay. And we look forward to these each and every time we do one, and they're all special. This one I think is a little more special because it hits so close to home for us. And we're just excited that you guys tuned in and listened to this or watched it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we look forward to continuing this in the future. And Megan, will you tell everybody where they can find us?
Yeah, first of all, I want to let you guys know I will put links to these two products in the description so that you can find out about them.
It's awesome. Yeah, great idea.
And please give us your comments about things that you do or supplements, anything that you do to help your senior dog. And you can find us everywhere online at Dog Nerd Show. So, or dognerdshow.com, dognerdshow@gmail.com. Reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
And we're if you'll excuse me, we're also got the feelers out we're going to start doing some Zoom interviews. So reach out to us. We'd love to interview you. If you've got a story about your pets, how you adopted them or how they've improved your life, anything like that, please reach out to us. You can reach us at dognerdshow.com or
dognerdshow@gmail.com.
Yeah. And we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I just love you guys for watching and tuning in and understanding our passion for dogs.
Until next time, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.